let's get started. So, dub haters, who's ready to hate me? Yeah, this was not an episode I found enjoyable in the sub. Ugh. Except for part one. Part one was actually pretty good, and then it just dropped off considerably, which pretty much means that going forward, I'm going to be judging this. I'm probably going to be a lot harsher on the sub than I otherwise would be, because pacing wise, this four-parter was horrendous. But I can't blame the dub on that one because, well, the dub had to work with the sub. I mean, granted, it could have cut out a lot of content and just shrunk the number of episodes to desync the episode count, but why would they do something like that, right? What is this, GX Season 4? For those that don't get the joke, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX never had its final season dubbed, so yay, as they say. Regardless, I'm just going to go ahead and say this as bluntly as I can. Part 1 is mostly enjoyable because I like the tension that is presented in Part 1 better in the sub. Bakura's injury being a lot more pronounced. The actual, seeing Joey get punched and stuff and whatnot. It's all good stuff. The problem is that right after that, basically, as soon as you get into the duel itself, the pacing goes straight to hell. I mean, for God's sakes, part of the titular double duel, part one has one turn of it. One. Oh, I I I feel like that should speak for itself, you know. Granted, I'm also the nut job that actually, thought the pacing in the first season of Arc 5 was absolute garbage, so what the hell do I know? Seriously, so many of the duels in Arc 5's first season could easily be condensed, but we can talk about that when I eventually get that far. Depending on how successful I am at getting the arc, sorry, not the arc, the Zexal subtitled version, because I have basically come to a decision that I figured I would hold off on saying, but I might as well just say it now. I'm only going to be doing this sub and dub comparison thing until we get to the end of 5Ds, because there is no defending the Zexal dub, in my opinion. See, a lot of the nuance of the problems with the sub versus dub debate when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! With DM through 5Ds is there was a very rich and powerful story there in all three shows. And I do still think that there was actually enough in the dub of all three shows that it worked. And it even shored up some of the weaknesses of the original script. I mean, for God's sakes, I still believe that an evil spirit, the dark side of Kaiba is still a better plot point than the Death Impersonator, just to name one example. And to be honest with you, considering spoilers, we're going to be seeing people be revived from the fucking dead. Yeah, no, I think the Shadow Realm is actually a much easier, more digestible idea than just they get resurrected. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a show that seems to, but then again, anime has always had a problem with death meaning exactly two things, jack and shit. hit. And yeah, I know the cliched example is to mention Dragon Ball Z, but it's true. Now, what's funny is you could say, well, shouldn't you just say the Dragon Ball franchise in general, Blue Wolf? Go rewatch the original Dragon Ball sometime. No, seriously, go watch the original Dragon Ball sometime. You'll note that everybody who gets revived in that show only ever does in the first Dragon Ball series only ever does once, and there's like a shit ton of rules to it too. I think it's something like they can't be dead for more than a year. It's something like they can't be dead for more than a year. They can't be. They can only be brought back once. And yeah, and then there's the whole thing where in one arc, spoilers for the said arc, yeah, the Dragon Balls kind of get rendered inert completely. Yeah, if you think DBZ was the first time that happened, nope. The original Dragon Ball did it first. Hell, spoilers for the original Dragon Ball. Hell, and Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was not the first time. I mean, it was not the first time somebody pissed Goku off by killing Krillin. And it sure as hell wasn't the last. So, I guess I'll talk about the duel after, but for now, let's talk about why the dub was getting points. We'll just start with that. So, Mokuba, okay, well, let's actually continue with part one being more better in the sub first before we get to that. So, Merrick's plan is as a fallacy in the dub. The one thing I will say, I like is there's two things that make part one more enjoyable and gave the point to the sub. The first is Seto is way more affable than Kaiba because Seto at the very least is just like he finds the whole Yugi trying to save his friends thing amusing more than anything, because he doesn't believe that the ghouls are a major threat, even though he knows the god cards can put people into comas, and well, he knows there's 3 of them. Sorry for the distraction. There was a specific kind of bug that I found, and I'm just like, and I'm hoping it's not what I think it is, and it's distracting me. Sorry. Anyways, so why did 2 of these 4 episodes get points for the dub? Well, 2 words. 3 words specific. 4 words specifically. Expected Kaiba sorry, whatever. 1 sentence. I expect Kaiba's bullshit in this 4-parter in the dub rather than the sub. My biggest problem with Kaiba in the Japanese version has been he has no reason to be this much of a fucking prick. He doesn't. He has absolutely no reason to be this much of a fucking prick. Especially considering he's already seen Yugi's power. He knows about Yugi's power and knows that and should know that by himself he never would do anything. Now, if you're questioning me on that one, Gosaburo Kaiba. Yeah, I know I'm pulling from future stuff here, but you know what? Even in terms of what has been established here within the confines of this of this series, Kaiba is not opposed to working with others. He's done it before. And yeah, I know that was mostly in filler, but that's not an excuse in my opinion. Especially considering this is an adaptation of the original manga, so you can alter things slightly from how they were in the manga. I mean, for God's sakes, there are series that have done that have made slight alterations so that it works better within the confines of the actual adaptation, right? I mean, do you so for example, just to name one example right off the top of my head, right? Right? Do you really think the rebuild movies of Death Note were exactly 1-to-1? No, no, they weren't. They had a lot of the same beats, true, from the anime, which had a lot of the same beats from the manga. But again, there were actually, even within the anime, within the episodic anime, there were changes that added to the nuance. For example, removing inner monologues that were in the manga from the actual anime. And it actually added to the enjoyment. So you can have a throwaway line, I mean, that just says Kaiba is still not, is still struggling with the whole teamwork thing, and because he's relied on his own power for so much, instead of this teamwork, how blah 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 blah, until like 7 fucking examples of teamwork, either A, kicking his ass, or B, kicking Loomis and Umbra's ass. It gets old and repetitive. It made sense in the manga because as there was no, side arc where Kaiba teams up with Yugi. And that's the only thing I'm willing to grant, and that's the only reason I let it slide in the manga because you know what? The manga didn't have legendary heroes, aka Duel Monster Quest, as causing this gaping fucking plot hole. And yeah, I know, filler, not an excuse. This is an adaptation. It doesn't have to be 1-to-fucking-1. Do you think the MCU is 1-to-1 with the comics? Cause oh god, yeah. Go watch Captain America: Civil War and then go read the original Civil War comic for me, and you tell me if that's 1-to-1. Anyways, actually, a better example would probably be the DCA universe. It's also known as the Bruce Timm universe, right? Oh my god, I hate I hate this idea again and again. With Kazuki Takahashi railroading Seto Kaiba into the role of Jackass for as long as he did, why keep going with that? Was this an obligation from him? Which is funny because apparently, according to Eric Stewart on Twitter, so grain of salt here, but according to Eric Stewart, he was told by Kazuki Takahashi that Dub Kaiba was actually his favorite version of Kaiba. Make of that what you will. But yeah, no, it's Kaiba's bullshit and arrogance that just drags this multi-parter down for me. Oh, and the fact that like I said, you could have literally shrunk this into a two or maybe 3-parter, and it would have been better paced, in my opinion. But that's beside the point. But yeah, I guess we should just go ahead and get into the duel properly. There is one note from part 3 that I admit was just kind of it that was there. Although, admittedly, because of Kaiba continuing this whole I only need myself, I only need myself crap, it actually didn't drag the point over to the sub side, and that was Yugi's trying to take all the glory. And my note literally just has that quoted, and with in all caps, it's right next to it. Fuck off. Because I'm sorry, we're halfway through season 2. Kaiba should be fucking past this point already. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. We're about halfway through season 2. Because season 2 is another 49 episodes. So yeah, we're at about the halfway point. Right. In fact, the very next episode will be the halfway point. So, oh, there you go. So they go in a tag duel against Loomis and Umbra, who refer to themselves as the Mask of Light and the Mask of Darkness in the Japanese version. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep calling them Loomis and Umbra for the sake of consistency. So, so they capture Mokuba and force them to go into this. Then there's the whole Shadow Realm drop thing. Okay, I admit this one is dumb. This one is dumb. I'm just gonna be honest about it. But honestly, I never really cared for the idea of these death traps because again, these death traps just kind of felt like they were unnecessary, you know. But whatever. Never. You'll go to the Shadow Realm if you fall. I mean, granted, I guess that's the idea. Is that it because Merrick is watching, he would just use his magic to banish you, that kind of thing. That's the way I would have handled that at least. He's just make it clear, even in the dub, that he's always watching. But whatever. So then part 2 is where we really start getting into things. And they use a bunch of the mask cards. Mask of the Accursed, which stops Beta from attacking, hacking, and drains life points. Yeah, the mask cards were really damn annoying back in the day, admittedly. This is the first time Ring of Destruction. Action. I think this is the first time. Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm questioning myself on that. Is this actually the first time Ring of Destruction was used? Because I don't know. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel like it was in an earlier episode. Because I feel like I looked it up earlier. Yep, this is actually the debut. Okay, I'm right. I thought I was wrong, but I'm right. He won't use it again until 94, but then again, he doesn't duel again until episode 94, so there it is. But yeah, no. So yeah, Ring of Destruction and Ring of Defense make their first debut here. And of course, because of cheap nonsense, hence Ring of Defense fails, and Ring of Destruction fails, because why not? Then there's Mask of Dispel. Oh, I fucking hate Mask of Dispel. Ugh. Although I'm pretty sure Mask of Dispel is supposed to do more or than that. So let me just check something here. Okay, so in the anime it lets him negate one card. Well, in the real card game, I'm pretty sure it just disables all of them. Oh, no, it is only one. Huh. I'm wrong. Okay. Never mind then. Okay. I'm wrong. Never mind. Then there's Kaiba, telling Yugi about the whole card destruction idea. Yeah, and then they deal with the masked beast, which leads me the ritual monster, the masked beast, which leads me to the fact that Yugi made with card destruction. If he had activated card destruction first, Kaiba still would have been able, because Monster Reborn was set. Kaiba still would have been able to revive Blue Eyes, and Mass Beast wouldn't have shown up. Now, I get it. We have to have our big monster brawl, but this is part of the reason why I say that the scripting of these duels is kind of crap in places. Because again, played card destruction before, and the Mass Beast strategy goes bye bye. It wouldn't have stopped the Descartes play because he would have drawn into that, but it would have been something. So then in part 3, hey, the Mask of Weakness, Mask of Brutality combo is dealt with. And then Loomis and Umbra are having problems. Umbra defends himself with Mask of Impenetrability or Impregnability or whatever you want to say. Hey, Kaiba basically has a bit of a point with Loomis and Umbra. Would Umbra have used his card to defend Loomis? Which I think he would have, but but again, it's like, yeah, use the old, but then again, I mean, it's like, well, Kaiba, you can certainly be susceptible to the weakness and dish it out. How ironic. If it feels like I'm rushing through this, it's only because I don't have a lot to say about this. Like I said, with a lot of these, I'm just recapping the duels at that point, So then Mass Beast Descartes shows up. God, that thing. 3,300 attack points. Yeah, Mass Beast and Mass Beast Descartes were really irritating if your opponent got them on the field in the old days. He's mostly because there weren't that many outs. I still call bullcrap. It's still funny that there's so many combos that can just get rid of so many of the strategies in here. I mean, one MST could get rid of the Mask of Restrict, for fuck's sakes. But whatever. So then Kaiba bluffs out Descartes' attack. Heck, so Blue Eyes gets destroyed. Right, and then that allows Yuki to summon Valkyrian, the Magnet Warrior. Now, I'm going to go ahead and double check something, because this might be another shenanigans moment. I didn't write it down as shenanigans, but that's because I did not know if it was shenanigans or not. So yeah, that wouldn't have. So yeah, looking at it, yeah, that wouldn't have worked. Because you have to tribute the monsters. Although I suppose it was in the earlier version, it wasn't really tributing, but but there you go. Still, yeah, Mask of Restrict is just weird. Weird in that regard, because I think they originally eroded it so that it was only tribute summons that were negated, but you can't tribute under any circumstances. So it's like, huh. Also, apparently, it's technically a fusion monster. This is the start of defusion shenanigans. Anakin's, and then Soul Exchange generates a plot hole because you're still tribute summoning Kaiba. But whatever. Obelisk comes out because apparently it's only his monsters they can't tribute, and blah 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 blah. Whatever. Pacing is awful. Mokuba escapes. Apes and 4Kids fails at food again. And Pride is still motivating Kaiba. And then there's, of course, Merrick being shocked that Kaiba can wield Obelisk, which shouldn't be at this point, because, yeah. And I could have sworn Merrick and Kaiba spoke even in the Japanese version, but I guess I'm wrong on that. Or at the very least, Kaiba knows about the whole Merrick controlling thing. But whatever. I guess he technically didn't, but whatever. Like I said, though, that's about it. I have nothing else to really say about this. because this four-parter, again, like I said, feels way too goddamn. Feels like you could just shrink it down. It really feels like they just padded out the runtime. And that's been a problem consistently throughout all of these. Eventually, the pacing will get better and episodes will not, What's funny is the original DM is one of the very few parts of the franchise that actually have duels that last 3 to 6 episodes. As I'm hard pressed to come up with very many duels that lasted past 2 episodes in GX, or even in 5Ds for that matter, right? And yeah, sure, there was one that took, what was it, like 8 in Arc 5, but keep in mind that was a ridiculously long duel with one side having multiple players, so at least there that makes a degree of sense. Here, I'm sorry, it makes no sense. The pacing is awful, and there's just too much. I'll just go ahead and say it. Too much meandering around. No, too much pissing me off, to be blunt. And I feel that's a shame because Battle City has been good pacing wise, but the problem is I could easily. Some people say cutting any of it out would detract from it. Yes, cutting anything out in its entirety, yes, but I still say you could shrink down specific things. Do we really need to see Joey's mind control start? You know, do we really need to see Mokuba escape? Ape? You know, again, if you had saved most of this for like the tail end of like a third part or something, then I would have been okay with it. But again, it's like it's superfluous. It's padding. Of course, of course, it is kind of nice to see Mokuba escape. But again, I don't think we needed to see Mokuba pass. Mokuba getting captured should have. Again, I think it's something stupid. Like he gets captured in part one, and then he's thrown into the room with Anzu. Like halfway through part two, and it's like. And again, like I said, speed up the frickin' bullcrap and stop wasting my time. I'm explaining every intricate detail of what's on the fucking screen. I know this game state because I've been paying attention to the game state. And in my opinion, this is far less excusable in the Japanese version. Again, mostly because the Japanese version is heralded as so great by so many people. But I digress. Next time's gonna be another short one because it's a fucking clip show. Admittedly, it's not the clip show that I'm expecting to say the absolute least on. That one's coming up at the end of season 3. But yeah, this one is basically just going to be a giant clip show, and I'm not looking forward to that. Clip shows are always crap. Usually. There have been exceptions, but I don't think this is going to be one of them. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and chop off. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on this beloved episode, and I hope the dub haters don't rip me a new one too hard for me declaring that half of this 4-parter is better in the fucking dub. Honestly, it would have been part 4 too, but again, the shitty pacing and the fact that half of the episode is just as padding, basically. Half of part 2 or part 4 is just padding, really didn't help matters. The Serenity subplot was nice, but honestly, I think you could have just saved it for like its own episode or whatever. Regardless, that's it for me. Like I said, I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts, and I will see you next time for a freaking clip show, which I probably will just go ahead and get out of the way now to save us all a headache. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. We'll stand by.